Hi everyone, here we are back with chapter 10 talking about creative message strategy. So that is, how are you going to get what's your plan? How are you going to get it across? What method are you going to use? We're going to talk about a bunch of different methods. So here we go, starting out with the framework. Again, you can see it that we're going to be talking about managing what's going on and coming up with a plan. Okay, so here we go, our typical integrated brand promotion and action. So we're looking at a company called Blend Tech, which is a cooking company. They sell cooking products. So this idea that they're, what is it that they're trying to put forth informatively, and giving you a specific example with their hot chocolate. Okay, so there are a few different things that we're going to look at. What is it that you're trying to get across? You're trying to get some kind of brand recall so people recognize it immediately. People tend to buy at brands that they're interested in, and you could do that by repetition and having ads using slogans and jingles that people can remember. There's also this idea of point of purchase branding that is in-store displays that are going to remind people. And this idea that it's very efficient for the consumer. It's hard to forget if you're constantly seeing it. It does have hopefully long-term commitment, but it also can be a long-term commitment between you and the retailer, but also it can incur an expense. But it helps people to remember, and there is some it's a good way to interrupt or interfere with your competition. Okay, so we have an example here, Mr. Clean. You can click on that to hear it, to hear what people use, how they're using it to help people remember. Okay, so you also want to make sure, the second thing is you want to have key attributes to the brand name. So what is your unique selling position? So what is it that you're trying to kind of quote unquote hammer into people? And again, has a lot of positive implications. People remember it. There's carryover from one to the next. So here we go. Angel Soft toilet paper. Too soft, too rough, but Angel Soft is just right. So they're trying to their key attribute that they're trying to sell it is the quality of the paper, the softness of the paper. Okay, so you want to be able to persuade the customer. That might be another example that you're going to use. Why is it that you're trying to buy a product? Why is it that's so good? What is it that that seems so kind of, there we go, that's better. Why is it that there's trying to convince someone of doing something? So here we go. Another reason why add Kia. It gives there's a whole list of reasons why you should buy the Kia. You can read those. GECO, also telling you why you should buy something, saving you money, that kind of thing. Okay, so again, what's your essential message? You want to make sure that there's this whole idea of the hard sell ad, and really kind of creating some sort of urgency among people. And the other thing that's very effective with this whole idea of the hard sell ad or essential ads is this idea of comparison advertising. We see them a lot. So it can help you, if you don't have a big share in the market, it can help you increase your share, give some sort of social justification. Again, idea of permission to buy. We go through these a couple times. Established market leaders probably don't want to do it, but it is a good idea for if you're trying to convince why your new product is better than the established product. So here we go, another comparison ad. Microsoft is known for doing that. Microsoft versus Apple. Okay, another option, another tactic, I'm sorry, is this idea of testimonials, celebrities, expert spokespeople, average Joes, that kind of thing. Um, so you can, the idea of having an opinion leader can generate popularity, or people also might feel, well, they can really, if it's an average user testimonial, you can relate to that person. Okay, demonstration ads are also very effective to show how easy a product is to use. You see the results of what would happen if you use the product. Infomercials, we've all seen them. Talking about, again, demonstrating the product, usually paid advertising. It gives people a lot of time to explain what their product is. Sometimes you'll see these certain products that look like a talk show, a women's talk show, people getting together, so it sort of adds to the sort of familiarity and comfort people might have watching it. It does have, generally speaking, sort of a um, negative public image, infomercials, or the things we see late at night, but that can be successful. Okay, then transformative ads. We have an ad for MARTEX towels. It's ad that with a father and child. Our kids are full of surprises, from towels to toy boxes. They treat everything like an adventure. Same with you and your kids, right? So it's the idea. It's a good, somewhat emotional. Okay, so you want to make the consumer feel good about the brand. So you want to make sure that it's this idea that there's positive brand identity, and trying to exercise. Sometimes it's not selling the brand; you're actually selling what it's promoting, like honesty or truth, or family, or that kind of thing. Humor ads, very popular. This idea of people, think it's funny, and so they kind of relate to it. It's a break in the day. Um, uh, it's something that they can laugh about in their normal everyday sort of drudgery, moving along. The one problem with humor as this idea, messages may adversely affect comprehension, that you don't necessarily remember the product, but you just remember the funny joke about it. And also, you don't want to get caught in this idea of, one-note humor, that the joke after a while gets old. It's funny the first couple times you see it, but after a while you're seeing it, it's not really funny anymore. But it can be very effective. Okay, sex appeal ads, certainly very popular and very effective. People tend to pay more attention. They might be a little bit less memorable, but it certainly sparks people's interests. You want to make sure that there's no, you're not exposing yourself to any kind of legal or regulatory issues or political issues, social political issues. So here's an ad for Guess Jeans. That would be an example of a sex appeal ad. Next one, SKYY vodka. So this idea that also looks at it in terms of, if you can see the ad in the slides that you downloaded, there's two glasses there, attractive woman. So you associate this with SKYY vodka. Okay, scare tactics. So fear ads, you see them a lot for the cancer ads you see over and over again on television, or you could, so scare about your health, scare about your safety, scare about your financial security, that kind of thing. And it can really motivate people. We talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and if you're, it could be fear of your actual physical health. It could be fear of loss of friends. It could be fear of harm to yourself or your possessions, that kind of thing. Here we go. The CDC has an ad here about smoking. Okay, next up, anxiety ads. That it tells you that this idea of goodness, in terms of social life and love and esteem, when we talk about Maslow's need hierarchy, that if you want to avoid any kind of social anxiety, or that there's a problem that if your love life will be solved by buying this specific problem, by buying this specific product, or your financial security will be restored if you buy this product. So you want to make sure that you show them that you are addressing some levels of ideas of social anxiety, but you don't want to make people feel bad about themselves. Certainly, one that's very popular is driver safety, texting while driving, drinking while driving, not wearing a seatbelt, all those kinds of things, which are important messages for people to hear, but you don't want people to feel too bad about themselves as they watch it. Okay, so more on some essential strategies, some essential message objectives. So again, with this idea of anxiety issues, or things that people feel unsure about, again, like safety, you don't want to have people. You're hoping that people will have long-term commitment to the brand, and that is that you deliver on your promise, that you don't put them in more danger. And you also don't want things to be considered unfair or sexist, or in some way dismissive of any underrepresented group. So another strategy is this idea of defining the brand image. So you want to make sure that people understand this idea that, what is it that your brand stands for? Does your brand stand for ethics? Does your brand stand for patriotism, family, that kind of thing? And again, there are also, this idea of, what are the pros and cons of having a brand image. You want to make sure that, sometimes it doesn't necessarily, people don't really respond to it well, but it is, you do have this opportunity to really create a long-lived and iconic message that people will remember. Okay, so here we go. Brand image, the GECO. That's definitely the brand image over and over again. Okay, so you want to make sure you want the desired social meaning. So you want to this idea of slice of life ads that you see, families together. Cheerios, for example, it's a great example of Cheerios is selling cereal, but they certainly also are selling family. And Pepsi is selling, Pepsi sells fun and friendship, that kind of thing. These things, generally speaking, are pretty common, fairly common ads. So product placement is this idea we also talked about in 151 of Madison and Vine, the merging of entertainment and advertising. So, what kind of computers are people using? What kind of coffee are people drinking? You might see a Starbucks coffee in an ad, so it's a way to promote Starbucks, or an Apple, an iPhone, or what kind of car do they drive in the James Bond movies, that kind of thing. So you associate the brand with the entertainment. And product placement can be really very effective, and you just have to make sure it's with the right. You're associating your brand with the right production. You see it a lot on reality TV programs. Will have brand in there. What kind of drink what do they drink on American Idol, that kind of thing. Okay. So it's it has its pros and cons. Does it work? Does it not work? It may or may not. It can be expensive, but it can be really effective. And if nothing else, it certainly reinforces your brand image. Okay, so this idea of social disruption. So here we have an ad for CoverGirl, and it's the idea of bringing on, addressing social issues, and this with women's equality. It's #LashEquality. So you want to tie a brand to something that is important to you, uh, cancer prevention or equality or social justice or children's rights or women's rights or voting or whatever it may be. And then what you really want to do is your other goal is this idea of transforming your consumption or your buying experiences. So, it's this idea that making sure that the consumer, how will the consumer feel when they use the product? Will you feel like a real athlete when run an Under Armour, or will you feel like you're really treating your family well if you're serving them Hormel meat, that kind of thing? So it can be, it can be very effective, and it can really work to foster some kind of long-term commitment. People, brand loyalty, and eventually then brand equity. So you have to make sure that the person who all of your target audience is really interested in having the same experience. Otherwise, it could backfire on you. And then this idea of message development and what the message is that you're going to tell people. That's at the crux of any advertising campaign, and it's going to decide whether or not you have any kind of long-term commitment to the brand, and you start to sell the brand and have a positive outcome for your client. And the best thing, of course, is to have culture, cognitive style of your mind, and your brand all with part of the integrated brand promotion process. Okay, thanks everyone. We'll see you back here for chapter 11.